West Street, and no evidence of the sewers leaking at all. It was beautiful and wonderful.
Lovely. Thank you for putting that on the record.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike's.
I think it's important to acknowledge when things are working.
Thank you, we appreciate that. Mike and his crew are working very hard.
Yes, I've got a couple of things tonight. I'd like to make a couple of statements. It requires no response at all.
Any applause at the end of the booing?
Applause.
Applause or booing at the end? No
As you will.
Yes, please go ahead.
But no response required.
Okay.
And tonight I'd like to set aside my usual basket of questions and just deal with this. First, a housekeeping matter. If you could all, during these meetings, speak up a little bit, particularly on nights when we have the air conditioner, but at any time. These electrons need a good start. They've got to go all the way through the internet. So if you can give them a good push to start with.
So that's not work.
Yeah, the soft-spokenness is a virtue, but not necessarily when we can't hear it on the video. A comment was made about the tax certs, not only tonight, but at several previous occasions. And I'd like to correct, at least to my understanding, what I think is a misapprehension with regard to the process. The town assessor is not making these settlements. These are tax certs coming out of court.
Right.
So it has really nothing to do with the assessment. If the assessment is made, someone challenges it, and then a judge makes a decision, and then there may be a settlement made by the town board with the party, particularly a very large tax cert settlement. The town board may arrive at some settlement. But it's not happening out of the assessor's office, and having your own assessor isn't going to make any difference with regard to tax certs. That said, we'll move on. The last thing that I'd like to mention, I am very, very deeply disturbed by this, and there was a mention in the Indy this week on the article about the library board, and I'd just like to read you a couple of sentences on this. Before ending the meeting, the issue of finding new housing for the library was raised. Tiffany Milladantri reported that the Healy building is currently for sale for $2.4 million, offering 26,000 square feet on 3 acres with 150 parking spaces. There's also an adjacent parcel available for another $1.2 million. Milladantri said that there was currently a buyer interested in the parcel, but that the library was put in a backup offer. Apparently, we need to pay attention to the wording here of the reporter. She was covering her butt. Apparently, according to Milladantri, the village of Goshen would work with the library to push it through because they'd rather see the library in that location than whoever the other buyer is. I find this deeply troubling.
It is.
That is true.
Would be disturbing.
That the board would even consider.
You should ask if that statement's true.
I'm just putting it out there. You can.
No, Joel, I want to share a story with you about that, because I read that from the same day you did, whether it was my second, third, or second, whatever the case was. I was stunned to see this statement.
I'm glad. Let me finish what I have to say, and then go ahead. And then answer. If any transaction is interfered with, you brought up the veterans. You know, our veterans don't go to war to support a system with central economic command and control. You know,
Thank you, Rev. Joel. We don't. This is not true.
You're preaching to 5 people in the choir right here.
I have no idea what, I read the article, that's the first time I heard anything about it. I read the same article you did, and I have
Just
no
went right
idea.
by.
No.
I have no idea what they're
Oh,
talking
you're saying this was the first time?
That's the first time I heard anything about it when I read the article.
There is nothing. There is nothing. So whoever he or she's quoting is fact,
Right.
is conservative.
That's fine, and setting that aside, I'm saying in addition to the facts of the matter, that I would hope that the board would not ever consider interfering in a private market transaction.
Absolutely.
And I bring this up in addition to the discussion that has taken place with regard to the OVH district, where statements have been made in the work sessions about not establishing or not allowing businesses that might compete with businesses that are already established in the central business district. Again, I find this very troubling because it's not the job of the board to be determining who may or may not compete. And if a restaurant, for example, would be establish themselves up in that area, that's all well and good. If somebody wants to invest their money and compete, the board should not be in the business of determining who may and may not be in the marketplace and keeping a restaurant out of that area because it might compete with something down here in the central business.
Zoning laws are created, Joel, and you're using
I'm using the principle.
Excuse
I'm
me.
using the principle.
You are using a statement that is totally erroneous without any factual base to further your cause. With all respect, I'll get to answer your inference now, because what you're inferring is that this board, in analyzing the appropriate zoning
No, that's your inference. That's your inference,
excuse
not my
me, I'm not
implication.
debating, I'm making a statement.
Well, I thought I was in the middle of making mine.
I'm responding,
Well,
Joel,
at least
and my
let me-
response is that
at least let me finish.
zoning laws, you've said an ugly thing about this board,
Let
and
me
I
finish,
must
and you may
make
respond. I have the floor, it's privilege of the floor, I'd like to finish what I'm saying. You
You're
can
making insulting statements, Joel.
Then
Go ahead and
respond
finish,
to me
but
when I'm
please make
done.
it quick.
Thank you. The reason I'm raising this issue is a similar principle. Whether the facts of this are correct or not, I'm going from this alleged tonight inaccurate statement, which I'm glad to hear, to the general principle of the role of municipal government. And just driving home the point that I hope you all, each and every one of you, will consider, and I hope I can sway you, that municipal government has no business interfering in the private marketplace. And that's not what our veterans go to war for. It's not the way our country's structured, and I just hope you would consider that as you consider zoning issues and as you consider any planning issues. Thank you.
The purpose of zoning is for people who are elected by the voters to use their best knowledge and best resources and come to the conclusion as to what laws should be governing the zoning and planning for their community. That's the purpose of zoning. That's what we're considering in any of our zoning or planning issues. We come to a conclusion, and that law is what dictates. The zoning law is what dictates. If you have a disagreement about a particular and at a public hearing, you'll have every opportunity, but to utilize what is an absolutely erroneous statement in a newspaper and twist that to make your plea for, I don't like government.
That's not what I said.
Well, that's
not what
how
I
it's
said.
perceived, Joel. That is how it's perceived. And I think that you must appreciate the fact that it is the job of this board to evaluate zoning. That's it. I'm not debating it. That's it.
Now,
Yeah, on a positive note, now that you both had your say, John, as we all know, served in Vietnam during the really heavy times. My dad was a World War II decorated veteran. And my son, happened to on my mind because it was yesterday, has gone on his summer cruise. He's a cadet at SUNY Maritime. He is a first classman now, he's a senior. He's been out there for 2.5 months, and yesterday he was on Omaha Beach, Utah Beach, and he was at the cemetery in Normandy, and he sent me an email last night. He said how incredible, I've never been there, but how incredible it will be, and it is to be there and to see the lines and lines and lines of crosses. And of course, a lot of the armaments and that stuff, the pillboxes and all that stuff is still embedded in there. You know, so, and Joe also mentioned veterans tonight, so it just was on my mind when you guys all said that. We do think about our veterans.
thank you, Bob. Any other public comments?
Just quickly about the lease. So the Everett Monument is owned by the Presbyterian Church. So if for whatever reason the church or that park were no longer part of the, say, public domain, then what would become of the monument?
David can tell you that if something is a fixture like that, the people that own the land own it. But obviously all kinds of other people have contributed to its welfare and well-being, but I just thought...
It makes an interesting question. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Should have left it, yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, we need a motion for executive session.
Oh,
Second?
Second.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We're going to executive session.